stock market gained 0.63% on Thursday. That was the day the central bank moved in with rapid fireworks in the marketplace and pushing the dollar to the brink. Now, let's get a bit of a sense of the markets, equities, that is, for February. We're ending that in the next 24 hours. Let's bring in Chukwuma Anyanwu, who is the head of research at GTI Securities. He's sitting down there, downtown Lagos, from the GTI trading floor. Good morning.
Morning, Bosin. It's great to be here.
Thank you. I'm sure currency was the conversation last week. But again, let's sidestep that a little bit and look at the equities market in the month of February. Did you see anyone make money?
Well, yes. Some very, very crafty traders were able to pull through the market volatility. So yes, quite a few people made some money, and it's largely because market has been up, down as a result of the fact that we didn't see quite the level of clarity from the fiscal policy administrators and how that would have filtered into the market. So yeah, we saw quite a lot of volatility, markets moving upwards, downwards, yeah. So some people who were smart enough to be able to sell when the market was uptrending, and getting back when the market was downtrending, of course, were able to make some money for February.
So talk us through those sectors and perhaps stock specifics.
Yes, well, we saw a lot of activities around oil and gas stocks. We also saw a lot of activities around banking stocks. Tier 1 space was a very interesting play for a lot of investors because of the fact, of course, that the Tier 2 banks were not particularly safe havens for a lot of investors. And investors, despite the fact that they were taking out or looking at for opportunities in the market, were also very risk averse to some extent, because of the fact, of course, that the heightened foreign exchange risk and its implication on banks, which would have been worse for Tier 2 banks, was a major disincentive for why investors decided to play around mostly the Tier 1 banks. And of course, we also saw a lot of activities around industrial goods and construction, and that's typical because as soon as the budget was announced and as soon as it went to the Senate for approval, and of course, expecting that it gets the approval soon and comes back to the presidency for accent, a lot of investors started keying into the fact that we're going to see a lot of potential spendings from the government, which would filter into construction and infrastructure. So those companies that had exposures to those areas had favorable looking from investors. So we saw a lot of activities around banking, oil and gas, industrial goods, construction. I think those were the major places where investors focused on for February.
Okay, 30 seconds. So when the Naira currency flow came in last week, what was at the top of your mind? We saw a bit of corrections at the equity side started happening on Thursday on that currency story.
Yes, well, largely what you would have seen playing out is largely retail investors anticipating the return of foreign investors. Foreign investors, as of now, are still a bit skeptical and are still not coming in. We're not getting as much interest as we ordinarily would have. And that's largely because we've had cases of policy inconsistencies from both the CBN and the fiscal policy administrator. So I think a lot of them are still very cautious, even though it speaks well for our currency. We've seen the currency gaining quite significantly in the last couple of days, and that's positive. But what foreign investors advocate for is the stability. Despite the fact that wherever it trades, they just want stability, so that as soon as they're exposed to Naira-denominated instruments, they are certain to some extent that there's not going to be any downside risk in the short term. So yes, we've not seen as much inflow from FDIs, but we've seen some renewed interest from local investors anticipating the resurgence of the market through FPI participation.
Okay, Chukwuma Anyanwu, thank you very much for throwing that into the mix for us this morning, Monday, the 27th of February. Do have a great week, and we'll check with you before the rest of the current business week. We have a live panel of 3 and 5 discussants and a studio full of guests tomorrow. Join us for this business conversation, Channels Television and Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. That's a special edition tomorrow, 1.5 hours. I'll see you in 24 hours from now. Have a great day.